Okay, guys, today we'll be interviewing a law of attraction expert. How are you doing today, Andrea?
Good. How are you?
Okay, thank you so much for coming on today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and can you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Sure. My name is Andrea Schulman. I live in Florida, United States, and I teach people about the law of attraction. So I work with people one-on-one, and I also run a membership website. So I make lots of videos and lots of content related to practical application of the law of attraction. And before doing that, I used to be a high school psychology teacher. I was introduced to The Secret when I was about the age of 30. And after a few years of practice, decided that I wanted to get into working with the law of attraction. And now I've been doing that since 2014. So
Oh,
that's the short version.
thank you so much for that. Why did you create Rise Your Vibration Today.com? And what message or what mission or message you're trying to convey?
Well, when I started learning about the law of attraction, initially, I think the reason that I was drawn to it was because I was looking for a career. So it was funny because I was teaching at the time and I had this big desire to figure out what a big career move would be for me because I could tell that teaching was only going to take me so far and I wanted to do something more. And when the law of attraction came to me, it's like a light went off in my mind that of what it was, of how it worked. It was just so very clear to me that the foundation of reality was built on this principle. When that happened, though, I totally forgot about career. It was just, I was so fascinated with the idea of the law of attraction. I got so interested in learning. So I was spending a lot of time online, researching stuff, watching videos, and through that process of a few years, something just suddenly clicked in me and it made sense. Like, oh, you love being online. You're a teacher. You like teaching this stuff. And it all of a sudden made sense that through the internet was the conduit that I wanted to use for this message because I enjoy playing around with technology, being online, all of that. So it just kind of meshed together as a good avenue to create a website because it really kind of hit all the bullet points of things that I like doing, learning, teaching, and tech all in one.
Okay, thank you so much. How did you get into also psychology?
How did I
How
get into, I'm sorry, you cut out.
being a psychologist. How did you get into being a psychologist? Or what was it? What was it? You teach or something? I forgot because you say something about teaching, right? And it's I so yeah.
Well, I guess I was born into that field. My father is a counseling psychologist. He's retired now, but he was a counseling psychologist and also a professor of psychology. So I was raised in a home where thinking about the mind was very big. And I ended up going to the University of Michigan after high school and wanted to study psychology. So I went down that route, did a little bit of research and thought about taking it as far as becoming an actual mental health professional or becoming a doctor of psychology, but decided that it didn't seem like a good fit for me at that point. However, I did really enjoy the subject. So the career transition that I decided to get into eventually was teaching. So I was a high school psychology teacher. I became certified to teach high school, and that was the field that I taught people in. So, but yeah, I was really raised with a fascination of the mind. That's been a lifelong thing for me since birth.
Well, that's really fascinating. I became fascinated about the mind too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did do you believe that education, you were born and raised in America, or
Yes.
do you believe that our education is broken?
When I was teaching, I really felt so. Yes.
Because sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I have kind of a different perspective of it now, just in terms of a broader, more law of attraction perspective. I don't think it's necessarily broken, but I think that it could be better. And I think that the flaws in the system are pointing out a desire that a lot of people have, which is to have higher access. And I hate to make it sound, this almost sounds kind of elitist, but I'll go ahead and say it anyway. access to kind of a higher knowledge. And I feel like there's so much emphasis that's placed on little physical details that perhaps are not as relevant as people are actually looking for. So again, that kind of ties into what I do now, is that one of the things that was very kind of clear to me is that if I was going to spend my time teaching people anything, I wanted to teach them something that actually had profound impact on their life, regardless of where they lived or what their career choice was or what their particular circumstances were. Because as a teacher, there's at least my perspective of it was that there was a lot of pressure put on the mundane details, things that were not that important. Testing, that's a big one. Obedience, that's another one. And a sad thing about that I noticed is that when I was teaching, I taught high school kids. So these are kids that are like, they're right in the middle of their rebellious phase. And you could see that for a lot of them, if you said the word school, or if you said the word learning, they would just glaze over. Like, it's almost as if they've been conditioned to think that learning was a bad thing. So that to me points out, at least when I was teaching, that was kind of the big issue that I had with teaching, because I really did love teaching people, but it was the institution that was hard for me to navigate through. For
Yes,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. That's making it clear because it's the whole way that we, what was it? I'm glad that you're a teacher, right? Because one of my mission is to be able to, like, at least to get people to see about this, because I'm in the special education. I was labeled special ed. That's why I'm so passionate about that, because I think that I think it was on Sunday. I talked to one of my old friends from, we met, known each other since middle school, but I haven't seen her for like 8 years. And what I agreed with was the school didn't teach you about the important subject like taxes or other things that you should be learning, like people, or I don't remember that they teach us about the brain, right? Since you're into psychology, and and that really, and then once you go deeper, how the school was built to be able to like obedience. You said obedience like a military. If you go to the history of why school was built, so they have Monday through Friday. That's why people work from Monday through Friday. Like, you can see the military way of thinking. It's because so they can work for the rich. That's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it, my perspective of it now, if I were to put kind of a law of attraction spin on it, is that back when education was created, there were specific needs that they had, and perhaps people at the time that schools were created were not, they weren't living in the world that we're living in now. They were living in a much more rudimentary world, and it was more widely accepted that you're going to do as you're told. It was much more widely accepted that you don't need higher knowledge. These are the basic things that you need. And the thing about people is that once they get into a habit of doing something, they stay in the habit of doing it. So you get this foundation set up for education that's really built on, hundreds of years ago. And the theme of it has largely stayed the same because it just continues to perpetuate itself over time. But the nice thing is we're at a point now where people openly question it. Because when I was young, nobody really questioned it. There was still very much that you go to school, you get good grades, you're obedient, you go to college, life will be fine. That was the mantra people were still playing. Today, it's a lot different. So that's an indication, I think, that things are changing for the better. But that's part of the change, is that at first people got to get a little bit angry about it and want something more instead of just being complacent with it. Because it's the complacency that keeps the system running the same way year after year after year. And you can tell that that's changing. The schools haven't necessarily caught up to it yet, but the feeling underneath it with students, with parents, you can sense that something has shifted there, which is the good thing out of it, I suppose.
Yeah, but one thing that you were right about the students, though, like all they care about is we was it, back in my days when I was in high school. I didn't really care about learning. Matter of fact, I hate homework. I don't want to learn. It's because they force you to learn things that not of your interest. And of course, at the time, I think that young people wanted to hang out or play video games or something like that for like fun. They
Yeah.
don't, and I think that that's why if you hear most adults, when you hear something, oh, I don't want to learn anything anymore, because they were forced, right? It's terrible. Like learning is a great thing. Like you said, higher knowledge. I think that they also, I don't know if school like dumbed down the knowledge, but I think that there's so much like knowledge that people can like you can learn.
Yeah.
Not the simple that you don't like. It's really very